Are you trying to leave a narcissist or even thinking about it and you want to mentally prepare for that? Well, then you're in luck, because by the end of this part 2 of my conversation with Melanie Tonia Evans, you're going to know exactly how to do that. Hi, I'm Rebecca Zung, top 1% attorney and the best-selling author of the books Negotiate Like You Matter and Breaking Free, a Step-by-Step Divorce Guide. And I've helped thousands of people go from lives of drama, trauma, and chaos to step into lives of freedom, possibility, and purpose. And I do the same thing for you right here on this channel. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead, hit subscribe, smash that notification bell, and that way you'll get notified when I upload brand new content. This is part 2 of my conversation with Melanie Tonia Evans on how to mentally prepare to leave that narcissist. So without further ado, let's dive into part 2. So can you share some of the experiences from your members who successfully won court settlements and custody cases against narcissists?
Sure. So just to backtrack a little bit, what NARP does is those primal fears that are triggered and hijacking your entire being and making you hand your power away. It picks those up through your cellular being, literally releases them and brings in source, which is wisdom, power, solution, connection to the field, and even miracle. So what happens is there's this massive shift from I'm on the defense and I'm being smashed and obliterated to I am now that bright light in my power, in calm, logical solution, and inner knowing and power that I'm looked after. And that's when people have had the most incredible results. And like you said, Rebecca, it's more usual than unusual. In fact, it's inevitable when people get to that level.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Look, it so is. And that's what's so exciting about our work, because you're producing that from your side. I'm producing that from my side. And you get that much light in a practical, legal way and in an emotional, somatic, subconscious way to come together. I don't think narcissists are going to stand a chance, personally.
No way. There's no way that they could possibly stand a chance, with using your NARP program along with my SLAY program. There's no battle that can't be won. I mean, there's so many times that people have said to me, I've tried for 3 years. We've been doing litigation for 3 years, or I've been fighting him for 5 years or 7 years, or her.
Totally. See it all the time too.
Yeah. And I just say, well, then obviously you haven't created the right leverage yet, because narcissists are scared. So you've just got to find that spot that's going to scare them enough that, it always comes back to threatening that source of supply that means the most to them in some way.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's where exactly. And you have the ways to practically eliminate that. And NARP gives you the emotional balance and power to completely cut off narcissistic supply. It works. But yeah, look, I'd love to share with you, we have hundreds of stories in the community, and they're coming up every day about people having legal battles, because we've got tens of thousands of people working NARP and in our community. But just to share some highlights with you, Angela was a really good case, because she was married for 22 years to a very malignant narcissist, very vengeful, very nasty. And she was in a 2-year high conflict litigation with him, and she was getting smashed. So she lost her business. She had to declare bankrupt on a corporate and a personal level. He was horrible. He was using the kids as pawns. And, she'd been 22 years indoctrinated into him being the powerhouse that kept her down. She was trying to please and hold it together, and eventually she couldn't. Now, when she got on NARP, she had so much anxiety and fear and injustice of what he'd done. She released all of that, and it was only a few weeks after she they'd separated obviously, but she was, you know, in her power and her calm, he capitulated and settled out of court. He just actually came forward and said,
Amazing.
I've had enough of it. This was when she had no more emotional trauma at all. She was at peace. He contacted her and said, all right, I'm willing to give you what's fair. And he settled out of court, because now I know why this happens, because I see it all the time. She had cut that emotional cord of him sucking supply. It was done. So he had to move on. And
I love that. I love that. Love that story. Amazing.
It's full on. Now, the gorgeous thing is, after 22 years, she's now living in a beautiful new home, engaged to a guy that she met 3 months after she started working with the NARP program, who she says is the love of her life and is the most respectful, kind, honest, real relationship that she's ever dreamed of. And also, too, things have healed with her kids, because the narcissist used them as pawns, as they all do.
Yeah. So what, I mean, the beautiful thing about your program is that people will not go back and end up with the same personality type again, because now they're healed. Yeah. Now, as you said, they've cut that cord. You know, in the divorce world, I say that, which is true, there's 50% of first marriages end in divorce, 60% of second marriages, and 73% of third, because people go back to that same personality type again. But the beautiful thing about NARP is that it cuts that pattern. You'll no longer do that. You'll recognize the signs. You'll heal whatever was not healed within yourself that caused you to be, you know, in the space to be a target of a narcissist. You'll just be like Wonder Woman or with the gold things on your wrists, or the Superman, you know, you'll never allow yourself to be in that position again. So in your experience of helping people around the world from narcissistic abuse, what would be your top 3 recommendations for people who have to face their abusers in court?
Okay, my top 3 from my side of this fence is definitely about learn to detach. First of all, stop. You know, we know logically that when you try to get a narcissist to act decently and treat you lovingly and be respectful, the more you try and push back and try to, it's like trying to get a 5-year-old in an adult's body to act decently. The more you try, the more abuse you're going to get. You have to learn to detach and start healing. Start taking your life, your emotions, your soul back, you know. And I just want to, you know, explain, I just want to share, because this is such a good example of this. And this is, you know, a woman that her name was Prima, and this speaks to the people that are really dealing with malignant narcissists, dangerous narcissists, very scary narcissists. You know, and Prima, she had a situation with high-level abuse where she took her kids and ran for her life because things so bad. You know, and at first she still had contact with him, and he was threatening, and he was pushing for the kids and custody, and he was doing all that intimidation thing. And she was really hooked in there, you know, trying to get him to calm down and settle down and see sense and stop being abusive and stop being violent. And things just get worse and worse and worse. So he was sucking her in and abusing her because he was getting fed with narcissistic supply. And the reason I'm talking about a high-level narcissist, she was like, well, if I don't ring him back, if I don't text him back, he's going to come and get us. That's an extreme example, but I'm just giving you the example of when, you know, when you keep hooking back with a narcissist trying to get safety and decency, you're just feeding them and you're putting yourself in more hot water. Yeah. So, okay, so she had to learn to detach. And then what happened with that, which is what happens with a lot of people, when you're in the fight, it's somehow keeping you alive. But when you step out of it, it's like you can be hit by a freight train, because all of the abuses of yesterday, last week, last month, last year, all have a chance to catch up because you're not in the fight on the battlefield. And you can get hit with aftershock, which is horrific. And usually that happens after you stop contact. You really need to work with that. Nobody had told me about aftershock, and it nearly killed me. And it would send me back. It sends people back all the time because they don't understand it. So when you hit with aftershock, this is where NARP is so important. And as she said, Prima in that stage, she was so manically depressed and hit with trauma that she could barely make a cup of tea or get out of bed, let alone look after her kids. And that happens to people all the time.
It really does. It's so
and you would
sad.
see that. You would see people crawl into your office
Oh, yeah.
like zombies.
Yep.
They can barely brush their hair, let alone
do.
get to a meeting. That's how bad this is. So when Prima started working with NARP, she was able to get her soul back, eat again, be a mother. And then when she got enough power and healing within her, she went on the offensive and she filed for full legal and physical custody. And she also said any visitation has to be supervised. She asked for a full custody evaluation, and her tactic was to be as severe as she could to protect the children. She went fully offensive, and she kept working on herself. And when she had her hearing come up, the most weirdest things that happened, Rebecca, where he got delayed and everything, he didn't get to the court case. She got awarded full custody at that hearing.
Amazing. Amazing.
Amazing. And as she said, the judge said to her, I'm granting you everything that you've asked for and you don't even have to pick up the phone. That's it.
I love it. I love to hear those stories, and I love for our listeners to hear those stories, because it's so important for people to understand that there is hope, that you can turn it around. It is possible. Everybody, who's turned it around was where you were at one point, thinking, I can never get out of this. There's no way I'll ever get out of this. They've all been there, and they've all been able to turn it around, those people. So I have a fun question to ask of you before we get into the final couple of things here, which is, I want to know, what if you had a spirit animal, what would be your spirit animal?
Oh gosh. Do you know, look, what popped to mind was a leopard, and I just see this leopard. So maybe I need to research what a leopard means. I don't know.
Yeah, well, probably really ferocious, but also,
I would say so.
Maybe
strategic, ferocious, maybe.
But gentle when need be, probably really protective of their children, I'm
definitely going to Google it when we get off this call.
Yeah. I like to ask that. It's just sort of like a fun question. So,
okay, what's yours? I'm interested. What's your animal?
I've been thinking about that recently. I always used to say tiger, but then when I looked it up, there's this website that you can look up, what spirit animal means. When I read the description, I'm like, no, I don't think that's me. So I think it's more like a bear, gentle at times. But, I have 4 kids, and I definitely am like Mama Bear, don't mess with my kids.
Yeah, it's protective. I love that.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's what I think. You're the first guest that's actually asked me what mine was, by the way. So you have a free gift that I'm so excited to share with our listeners. Tell us all about it.
I do. I have a free 16-day course, and that helps you a lot, because at the start of that, you have 2 really comprehensive ebooks, which are talking to you about the different levels of narcissism, what you're dealing with, and also to the detachment process of no contact or modified contact, what that means, what you need to do to prepare to heal. And then you get an email every day, which is going to be about the most intricate parts and understandings and solutions of narcissistic abuse recovery, as well as I have a free webinar that I so want you to come into, because there I take you through a 2-hour intensive journey of self-partnering, turning inward, and also getting relief and clarity immediately, because I'm going to take you through a quantum freedom healing to get trauma out and start bringing peace, power, and grace in. And you'll feel it in your body immediately.
I love it. And I highly recommend everybody, please get her free gift. Please subscribe to her YouTube channel, take her 16-day course, go to her free webinar, use these resources. They're there for you. Use them. I highly recommend them. I will drop links to all of it below this video and also in my podcast description, so that everybody can get access to this. That, you know, you don't have to suffer alone. There are resources out there that can help you, so take advantage of them. So where can people find out more about you and your programs?
Yeah, sure. So if you go to Melanie Tonia, Tonia, Evans.com. And also too, you know, if you've had enough, and if what this really resonates with you about the deep inner healing from the inside out to become that light that is empowered, sovereign, and authentic and impervious to narcissists, check out NARP, because that is the program that has changed people's lives when nothing else did worldwide, as well as my own. So that's melanietoniaevans.com/NARP, but you'll find all the details on my website. And also too, you'll find all the details through the 16-day free program.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. And this was a fantastic conversation, and the first of many more to come between us.
Look, Rebecca, I'm so excited to be working with you, because I know how much you can help, and I know what we can create for people together.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thanks so much for joining me on this part 2 of my conversation with the incredible Melanie Tonia Evans. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, drop me a comment. I'd love to know that you're here. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you want my free Crush My Negotiation Prep Worksheet, because you're getting ready to negotiate with the narcissist, you won't want to walk in without it. You can just get that at winmynegotiation.com or at the link below. And if you want to have support, a place to vent, another place to heal, another place to help you mentally prepare to leave that narcissist, come on over and join me in my free private Facebook group. It's called Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung, and we'll drop a link to that below as well. Thanks so much for joining me today. I will see you in the next video. Remember that today's a great day to start negotiating your best life.